The constant hum of equipment filled the deep space monitoring station Atlas 7, orbiting silently above Earth. Tom Miller sat at his console, sipping coffee during another routine night shift. The scanner screens showed the usual patterns of space debris and distant celestial bodies. Nothing unusual ever happened during his watch. Until tonight. A soft beep drew his attention. The quantum energy detector was picking up something strange near the edges of the Kuiper belt. At first, he thought it was a malfunction. The readings were unlike anything in their database. The energy signature pulsed in a clearly artificial pattern, but it wasn't from any known human vessel. "Control, this is Atlas 7, Tom called in. "I'm picking up anomalous readings in Sector 47K, request verification." Within minutes, every sensor on the station was focused on that distant point in space. The data was unmistakable. They were detecting hundreds of massive vessels, completely dead in space. The ships were massive, each one larger than Earth's biggest space stations. The United Space Command mobilized immediately. Within hours, the U.S. Horizon, Earth's most advanced long-range vessel, was preparing for an emergency launch. Captain David Wilson stood on the bridge, studying the preliminary scans with growing concern. "Those ships have been drifting for months," he noted, pointing to the debris field surrounding the alien fleet. "Their main drives are completely cold. Whatever happened out there, it was catastrophic." The Horizon approached cautiously, ready to retreat at the first sign of hostility. But as they drew closer, it became clear that the alien vessels were in serious trouble. Their hull temperatures were dropping dangerously low, suggesting failing life support systems. First contact came through a simple video transmission. The alien commander appeared on the Horizon's main screen, a tall, elegantly proportioned being with silvery skin and large, expressive eyes. The universal translation software took a few moments to decode their language. "I am Fleet Commander Raoul of the Meridian Exodus," the alien said, their voice carrying a mix of dignity and desperation. We require assistance. Our quantum drives suffered a cascade failure during our journey. We have been adrift for many cycles, our resources dwindling." Captain Wilson stepped forward. "I am Captain David Wilson of the Earth vessel Horizon. We stand ready to help. Please share your ship's specifications and current status." The alien commander seemed taken aback by the immediate offer of aid. "You would help us, without knowing more about us or our purpose?" "You're in trouble," Wilson replied simply. "That's all we need to know right now. The rest can wait until your people are safe." The truth of their situation became clear as the Meridians shared their story. They were refugees, fleeing their home system as their star began to die. Their fleet carried over 2 million survivors, including their young. The quantum drive failure had left them stranded in an unfamiliar part of space, burning through their emergency reserves. What they found most surprising was humanity's immediate response. While the Horizon's crew began emergency supply transfers, Wilson contacted Earth. Within hours, every major nation had pledged support for a massive rescue operation. The Meridians watched in amazement as human ships began arriving. Freighters loaded with supplies, engineering vessels equipped for deep space repairs, and medical ships ready to treat any injuries or illness among the refugees. "Your species," Commander Raoul said, watching the rescue fleet grow. "You didn't hesitate. You didn't demand payment or treaties. You simply helped." Wilson smiled. "That's what humans do. We help when we can, where we can. Now let's focus on getting your people what they need." As the first day of rescue operations drew to a close, the mood aboard both human and Meridian vessels was one of cautious hope. The aliens were learning that despite humanity's relatively young status as a spacefaring species, they possessed both the technical skill and moral courage to tackle a crisis of this scale. And humanity was about to learn that by stopping to help a stranded fleet, they had unknowingly taken their first steps onto a much larger galactic stage. But those revelations would come later. For now, there were lives to save and a fleet to rescue. The greatest space rescue operation in human history had begun. The massive hull of the Meridian command ship loomed before the human engineering team as their shuttle approached the docking port. Chief Engineer Mark Adams led the group, his experienced eyes already noting the unusual design of the alien vessel. The ship's surface was covered in what appeared to be crystalline structures, technology far beyond current human understanding. "Remember, folks," Adams said to his team, "we're not just here to look at pretty lights. These people need our help, and we need to figure out exactly what went wrong with their drives." The docking procedure went smoothly, and the human team entered the alien vessel wearing their environmental suits, though scans had already confirmed the atmosphere was breathable. The interior of the ship was a marvel of engineering. Corridors that seemed to flow like liquid metal, lighting that adjusted automatically to movement, and control interfaces that responded to thought as much as touch. Commander Rel personally greeted the engineering team. "We've prepared our engine core for your inspection," they said through the translator. "Though I must warn you, our technology may be difficult for your species to comprehend." Adams smiled behind his visor. "With all due respect, Commander, you might be surprised what we can figure out. Humans have a knack for solving problems." The engine room was massive, easily the size of a football field. At its center sat what appeared to be a perfect sphere of dark crystal, now lifeless and cold. Meridian engineers explained how their quantum drive system worked, by manipulating the fundamental forces of reality itself. As Adams studied the technical readouts, his expression grew increasingly serious. "This isn't just a simple mechanical failure," he reported back to Captain Wilson. "Their entire drive system has been corrupted at the quantum level. It's like, imagine if the laws of physics themselves got scrambled inside their engines." The Meridian engineers watched anxiously as the humans conducted their tests. They had expected the primitive Earth species to be overwhelmed by their technology. Instead, they'd witnessed something remarkable. Humans approaching the problem with a combination of scientific methodology and creative thinking that was uniquely their own. "Look at this." Adams pointed to a complex energy pattern display. The quantum field collapse created a cascade effect. "But if we can stabilize the field using our own fusion reactors as a base," a young Meridian engineer named Cole interrupted, "but that's impossible. The energy requirements would be massive." "Yes," Adams finished, "but not impossible. Not if we link multiple human ships together to create a power grid large enough to jumpstart your systems." The next few hours were intense as human and Meridian engineers worked together, breaking down the problem into solvable parts. The humans' ability to think outside the box, a concept they had to explain to their alien counterparts, proved invaluable. Back on the horizon, Captain Wilson received the preliminary report. The news wasn't good. Fixing the Meridian fleet would require resources beyond anything humanity had attempted before. But there was hope. "Sir," Adams explained via video link, "their technology is incredible, but the basic principles aren't beyond our understanding. With enough power and the right approach, we can help them. But we'll need everything we've got. Every ship, every generator, every engineer who can hold a wrench." Wilson nodded, then turned to Commander Rel's image on another screen. "Commander, I need to be direct. Helping your fleet will strain our resources to the limit, but we're willing to try if you'll trust us with your technology and work with us as equals." The Meridian commander was quiet for a long moment. Their species had always seen themselves as superior to younger races, but now, "Captain Wilson, you have already shown us more trust and help than any species we've encountered. We would be honored to work alongside humans as equals." As the assessment phase concluded, both species realized they were entering unknown territory. The humans would be testing the limits of their technical capabilities and resources. The Meridians would be putting their lives in the hands of a species they barely knew. But there was a growing sense of optimism. If any species could pull off this impossible rescue, it would be the humans, not because they had the most advanced technology, but because they simply refused to give up when lives were at stake. The real work was about to begin. The warning sirens blared across both human and Meridian ships. The solar monitoring station had detected a massive solar flare heading their way, one of the largest ever recorded. Under normal circumstances, ships would simply move out of its path. But with the Meridian fleet dead in space, that wasn't an option. "We have less than 6 hours before the radiation wave hits," Captain Wilson announced to the combined engineering teams. "If we can't get at least basic shields online for the Meridian ships, we're looking at catastrophic damage to their life support systems." Chief Engineer Adams wiped sweat from his forehead as he studied the power distribution diagrams. They had been working nonstop for 36 hours, trying to establish a stable power link between human and Meridian vessels. The alien technology was responding erratically to their attempts. "The quantum field is still too unstable," Toll, the Meridian engineer, reported. "Every time we try to increase power, the interference patterns multiply exponentially." That's when Lisa Reed, a junior engineer from the Horizon, spoke up. She had been quietly studying the Meridian's technical archives, while others focused on the immediate problems. "What if we're thinking about this wrong?" she said. "Instead of fighting the interference, what if we use it?" The next few minutes were a blur of technical discussions as Lisa explained her theory. The quantum interference wasn't just noise. It was following a pattern, like waves in water. If they timed their power pulses just right, they could ride those waves instead of trying to push through them. "It's crazy enough to work," Adams said, already modifying the power relay systems. "Captain, we need every ship with a functioning reactor to form a circle around the Meridian fleet. We're going to create a synchronized power pulse, but timing will be critical." Time seemed to blur as human and Meridian crews raced to implement the new plan. The radiation wave grew closer with each passing minute. Engineers worked frantically to modify equipment, crews repositioned ships with precision, and commanders coordinated movements with split-second timing. Commander Rao watched in amazement as the humans managed what should have been impossible, coordinating over 50 ships to act as one massive power generator. Their determination seemed to grow stronger as the situation became more desperate. "All ships in position," Wilson announced. "Beginning power-up sequence in 3, 2, 1. The space around the fleet lit up as energy began flowing between the ships. The human vessels glowed with the strain of their overtaxed reactors. On the engineering deck, Adams and his team watched tensely as power levels built up. "Field stabilizing," Toll reported, excitement creeping into their usually calm voice. "The wave pattern is holding." Then everything went wrong. A power surge in one of the human ships disrupted the careful balance they had achieved. The quantum field began to collapse, threatening to take their last chance with it. "Reroute everything through the Horizon," Adams shouted. "We'll handle the surge." The Horizon's engines screamed in protest as they took on the full load of the power network. Warning lights flashed across every console as systems redlined. But slowly, steadily, the quantum field stabilized again. "Meridian shields at 40%, 50, 60%. Toll called out. "It's working." The radiation wave hit just as they reached 70% shield strength. The fleet was rocked by the impact, but the jury-rigged defense held. Inside the Meridian ships, families huddled together as their vessels shuddered around them, but the life support systems remained operational. As the danger passed, exhausted crews on both sides finally allowed themselves to relax. They had done it, achieved what both species had thought impossible just hours before. "Your people continue to surprise us," Commander Rao said to Wilson. "When faced with impossible odds, you simply adapt." Wilson smiled tiredly. "That's humanity for you. We're too stubborn to accept impossible odds." He looked at the damage reports coming in from the human ships. They had pushed their vessels to the breaking point, but not a single crew member had hesitated when lives were on the line. They had won this battle against time, but the war wasn't over yet. The Meridian fleet still needed permanent repairs. But now, both species knew that together, they could overcome any challenge thrown their way. The impossible was becoming possible, one step at a time. While the engineers continued their work on the massive repair effort, something unexpected began happening throughout the fleet. What had started as necessary technical cooperation was blossoming into genuine cultural exchange between humans and Meridians. In the main observation deck of the Meridian flagship, a group of human scientists sat in awe as their alien counterparts displayed holographic star charts spanning thousands of light years. The Meridians had mapped vast regions of space that humanity had only dreamed of reaching. Your species achieved faster-than-light travel only 50 years ago. The Meridian astronomer named Kier asked, their silvery features showing clear surprise. The speed of your technological development is unprecedented in our records. Dr. Jack Porter nodded, still studying the star charts. Necessity drives innovation. Once we understood the basics of quantum mechanics, we refused to accept the limitations others saw. We kept pushing until we found a way. In another section of the ship, Meridian children gathered around as human crew members shared stories from Earth. The alien youngsters were particularly fascinated by tales of Earth's oceans, having come from a largely arid world. You have entire cities beneath your waters, one young Meridian asked, eyes wide with wonder, and creatures larger than our transport ships. The cultural exchange wasn't limited to knowledge and stories. In the makeshift dining hall, human and Meridian crews shared meals together, each discovering that despite their biological differences, they could enjoy each other's company. The Meridians were particularly amused by human jokes, though they often needed extensive explanation to understand the concepts of wordplay and sarcasm. However, not all revelations were lighthearted. During a routine security briefing, Commander Ral shared information that made Captain Wilson's blood run cold. We didn't leave our system simply because our star was dying, Ral explained, activating a secure holographic display. We were fleeing from them. The display showed massive ships of an unknown design, dark and threatening. The Voraks, Ral continued. They seek out developing civilizations and either enslave or destroy them. They were approaching our system when we decided to evacuate. Wilson studied the images carefully. And you believe they might threaten Earth? Eventually, yes. They expand constantly, consuming resources and technology from every civilization they encounter. Your world's rapid technological advancement would certainly attract their attention. This revelation led to a series of high-level meetings between human and Meridian leadership. The aliens shared their defensive technologies and tactics, while humans offered fresh perspectives on strategy and unconventional warfare. Your species thinks differently than any we've encountered, a Meridian tactical officer observed during one session. Where we see insurmountable obstacles, you see challenges to overcome. It's refreshing. The exchange of knowledge went both ways. Meridians were impressed by humanity's adaptability and innovative thinking, while humans learned from the alien centuries of accumulated wisdom and technical expertise. In the engine rooms, human engineers worked alongside Meridian technicians, combining their different approaches to solve complex problems. The humans' primitive but practical solutions often complemented the Meridians' advanced theoretical understanding. It's like you said, atoms told toll as they worked on a particularly tricky power coupling. We think differently. But maybe that's exactly what both our species need right now. By the end of the week, the combined fleet had developed into a true community. Humans and Meridians no longer saw each other as simply allies of convenience, but as friends and partners in a greater journey. During a shared meal, Commander Ral made an observation to Captain Wilson. When we first arrived, we thought we were merely receiving help from a younger species. Now we realize we found something far more valuable. A civilization that could stand as true equals with us in the galaxy. Wilson nodded, watching the mixed crews working together around them. Together, we're stronger than either of us could be alone. And something tells me we're going to need that strength sooner rather than later. The looming threat of the Vorax added urgency to their work, but it also strengthened the bonds forming between the two species. They weren't just repairing ships anymore. They were building the foundation for humanity's first true interstellar alliance. The universe had just become a much larger, more complex place, but facing it together, both species felt ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The first sign of trouble came during the night shift. A security alert flashed across the Horizon's command center, unauthorized access to the shuttle bay. Before anyone could respond, 3 shuttles launched without clearance, heading straight for the Meridian Fleet's central command ship. Security breach. Lieutenant Pete Brown shouted, activating the ship-wide alert. Rogue shuttles have left Bay 2. They're armed. Captain Wilson rushed to the bridge, quickly assessing the situation. The shuttles were broadcasting jamming signals, disrupting communications between ships. More alarmingly, they were using military-grade encryption codes. This was planned, Wilson growled. Get me Commander Ral. Any channel you can. On the Meridian command ship, chaos erupted as the rogue shuttles forced their way through the docking ports. Armed figures in unmarked environmental suits stormed aboard, pushing past the surprised Meridian security teams who had never faced human weapons before. The attackers moved with military precision, heading straight for the ship's control center. Their leader, a man who called himself Turner, addressed his team through encrypted channels. Remember the plan. We take control of their navigation systems. Earth can't allow these aliens to settle anywhere near our territory. But Turner's group had made one critical mistake. They had underestimated both species' ability to work together. Commander Ral and Captain Wilson had already established emergency protocols for just such a situation. As soon as the attack began, Meridian civilians were evacuated to secure sections of the ship, while human security teams from the Horizon coordinated with Meridian defenders. These are your own people, Commander Ral said to Wilson during a brief communication window. How do you want to handle this? Wilson's reply was firm. They stopped being our people the moment they threatened yours. We'll deal with them together. In the ship's corridors, the attackers found themselves facing an unexpected defense. Human and Meridian teams working in perfect coordination. The Meridians' advanced energy shields neutralized human weapons, while Earth's security forces understood exactly how to counter human military tactics. Engineer Adams, working with Toll in a secured section of the engine room, managed to override the jamming signals using a combination of both species' technology. Sometimes, he grunted as he worked, being primitive has its advantages. Can't jam what you don't understand. The tide turned when Lisa Reed, still working on power systems, noticed something crucial. The attackers are using our power grid to maintain their equipment, she reported. If we cycle the quantum field harmonics, the plan worked perfectly. When the power fluctuation hit, the attackers' equipment failed simultaneously. Their advanced weapons and communication gear, dependent on stable power frequencies, became useless. Turner and his team found themselves trapped between human security forces and Meridian defenders. This isn't over, he shouted as they were apprehended. Earth needs to be protected from alien influence. No, Wilson said as he personally supervised Turner's arrest. Earth needs to grow up and take its place in a larger universe. You're not protecting humanity. You're holding it back. In the aftermath, both species came together to strengthen their combined security measures. The incident had shaken them, but it had also proved something important. Their alliance wasn't just about technology or survival anymore. It was about trust. Commander Ral addressed a joint assembly of human and Meridian crews. Today, we witnessed the worst and best of what intelligent beings can do. These criminals sought to divide us, but they only made our bond stronger. Wilson stood beside the Meridian commander, adding, "From now on, any threat to the Meridian fleet is a threat to humanity. We stand together." The attempted sabotage had failed, but it had changed things. Security was tightened, trust was tested and proven, and the relationship between humans and Meridians deepened. What could have been a devastating setback instead became a powerful demonstration of their combined strength. As repairs continued, both species knew that this incident would not be their last challenge, but they faced the future with renewed determination, knowing that together they could overcome any obstacle. The stars awaited, and they would meet them as one. Earth's entire space fleet had assembled. Every available ship, from massive cargo haulers to the smallest maintenance vessels. They formed a vast array around the stranded Meridian fleet, preparing for the most ambitious space rescue operation ever attempted. "All ships report ready, Captain," Lieutenant Brown announced on the Horizons bridge. "Power grid is online and stable." Captain Wilson nodded, studying the holographic display showing hundreds of human vessels linked in a complex web of energy conduits. At the center, the Meridian ships waited, their quantum drives modified with a combination of both species' technology. "The calculations must be perfect," Toll explained, working alongside Adams at the main engineering station. One miscalculation in the power transfer sequence could tear the fleet apart. The plan was daring, perhaps insane by normal standards. They would use Earth's entire fleet as one massive power source, channeling enough energy to reactivate the Meridian's quantum drives. No one had ever attempted to link so many ships into a single power grid. "Begin power-up sequence," Wilson ordered. "Take it slow and steady." Energy began flowing between the ships, creating visible streams of light that connected the vessels like a glowing web. On the engineering deck, human and Meridian technicians worked in perfect synchronization, monitoring every fluctuation. "Power at 20%, Adams called out. "Grid is holding steady." 30%. 40%. Warning alarms suddenly blared across multiple ships. The power grid was becoming unstable, threatening to collapse under its own energy. "We're losing containment in Sector 7. Lisa shouted from her station. "The quantum harmonics are desensing." Commander Raoul's voice came over the comm. "The power surge is affecting our drive crystals. They're becoming unstable." Adams looked at his readings and made a split-second decision. "We need to channel the excess power through the Horizon's main reactor. It's the only way to stabilize the grid." "That could burn out our entire power system," Wilson warned. "It's that or lose the whole fleet." Wilson didn't hesitate. "Do it." The Horizon shuddered as massive amounts of energy poured through its systems. Warning lights flashed across every console as the ship's reactor strained to handle the load. In engineering, crews worked frantically to prevent a core breach. "Power levels now at 60%, Toll reported, their voice tense. "Quantum field is stabilizing." 70%. 80%. The combined fleet glowed like a small sun, visible from Earth's surface. Every ship's reactor was running beyond safety limits, but none backed down. They had come too far to fail now. 90%. Drive crystals are responding. Final power surge in 3, 2, 1. Energy exploded between the ships in a brilliant display of light. For a terrifying moment, it seemed like the entire fleet might be torn apart. Then, slowly, the Meridian vessels began to hum with their own power. "Quantum drives online," Toll announced triumphantly. "Field stability at 97% and holding." Cheers erupted across both fleets. Ships began powering down their overtaxed systems as the Meridian vessels maintained their own power for the first time in months. The Horizon's engines were badly damaged, and several other human ships would need extensive repairs. But they had done it. The impossible rescue was nearly complete. Commander Raoul's image appeared on the Horizon's main screen. "Captain Wilson, your people have achieved something we thought beyond possibility. We owe you a debt we can never repay." Wilson smiled tiredly. "No debt, Commander. This is what allies do for each other." As emergency crews began assessing damage and starting repairs, both human and Meridian leaders knew they had witnessed something historic. Not just a rescue, but a demonstration of what their species could achieve together. The Meridian fleet was nearly ready to move under its own power, But now, the question wasn't just about where they would go. It was about what their two species would accomplish next. The universe had changed. Humanity had proven itself not just capable, but essential to the future of interstellar civilization. And this was only the beginning. The final phase of the rescue was about to begin. 1 month after the successful rescue operation, the combined human and Meridian fleets orbited Earth. The massive alien ships, now fully operational, drew countless amazed observers from the planet below. Their crystalline hulls caught sunlight in ways that created spectacular light shows in Earth's sky. Captain Wilson stood in the horizon's observation deck with Commander Rel, both watching Earth rotate beneath them. The ship still showed signs of damage from the rescue operation, but repairs were well underway. "Your world is beautiful," Rel said, their silvery features reflecting the blue planet below. "We never expected to find such a welcoming home when our drives failed." "Speaking of home," Wilson replied, "have your people made a decision about the settlement proposal?" The answer came in the form of a smile, an expression the Meridians had adopted from their human allies. "Our council voted unanimously. We accept Earth's offer to establish a joint colony on Mars. Your terraforming technology, combined with our environmental systems, could make it habitable within a decade." The decision marked the beginning of a new era. Already, human and Meridian engineers were working together on unprecedented projects. The aliens' advanced quantum technology, combined with humanity's innovative problem-solving, was producing breakthroughs daily. In a historic ceremony aboard the International Space Station, representatives from Earth's nations met with the Meridian leadership. The resulting treaty established not just peaceful cooperation, but a formal alliance between the species. "Humanity has proven itself ready for a larger role in the galaxy," the Meridian High Council declared. "We offer not just our friendship, but membership in the Interstellar Cooperative, an alliance of spacefaring civilizations dedicated to mutual protection and advancement." Earth's response was enthusiastic. Access to the cooperative's vast database of scientific knowledge and star charts opened up possibilities that humans had only dreamed about. Plans were already being made for joint exploration missions to distant star systems. But not all the news was cause for celebration. The Meridians shared their full intelligence about the approaching Vorac's threat. Earth's military leaders began working closely with Meridian tacticians, preparing defenses and strategies. "We'll be ready for them," Adams said during a briefing, standing next to Toll as they presented new weapon systems combining both species' technology. "They won't expect to face our kinds of innovations." Lisa Reed, now heading a joint research team, had even better news. "We'd found a way to improve the quantum drive efficiency by 300%. The Vorax won't be able to match our mobility." In orbit above Mars, construction began on the first joint colony. The red planet's surface was already showing signs of change as massive terraforming machines, enhanced with Meridian technology, began their work. "It's strange," Commander Rel said to Wilson as they reviewed the colony plans. "We came here as refugees, expecting at best a temporary sanctuary. Instead, we found partners who have taught us as much as we've taught them." Wilson nodded. "That's the thing about humans. We don't just adapt. We help others adapt too. Together, we're stronger than either of us could be alone." As the first year of the alliance drew to a close, both species could look to the stars with new confidence. Human ships, upgraded with Meridian technology, were preparing for their first missions beyond the solar system. Meridian vessels, incorporating human innovations, were more capable than ever before. The night before the first joint exploration fleet launched, Captain Wilson made a final log entry. "A year ago, we discovered a stranded alien fleet and did what humans always do. We helped. We didn't know it would lead to this. Two species working together, learning from each other, preparing to face whatever challenges the universe holds. Some call it luck that the Meridians found us. I call it destiny. The stars are waiting, and together, we're ready to answer their call." The next morning, As human and Meridian ships launched together into deep space, Earth watched with pride. They had not just rescued a stranded fleet. They had forged an alliance that would reshape the galaxy. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity had taken its place among the stars, not through conquest or competition, but through compassion and cooperation. It was a new dawn for both species, and the possibilities were endless. The greatest adventure in human history was just beginning.